We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KERI, and now in New Mexico on 1000 KKIM. Our guest by phone, Eric Blehm, author of Fearless, Story of SEAL Team 6, and Adam Brown. So, Eric, about his faith, that was a strong component in his life. Do you feel that, because I know you've done your book on the SEAL team, do you find that in most of the members of the SEAL team that you found?
No, I would say not necessarily.
Really?
The subject of faith is the topic of faith is a very personal thing, and there are plenty that really don't have faith or on their own spiritual journeys. So those that do, like Chris, like Adam Brown, they definitely are. I would say they are potentially in a minority, and I think that that's a fair statement. And at the same time, it does help them. Adam Brown, in my book, there's one scene where we were going against a IED network, a suicide bombing network in Iraq, and on one particular night, they found a cell and 17 suicide bombers were killed. They found individuals that were shaved, their bodies were shaved, which was kind of the ritual before they were going to partake in a martyrdom situation and in fact blow themselves up, perhaps in a bazaar or on a roadside or by some soldiers or whatever it might be. And afterwards, it was Easter morning, early Easter morning that this took place, and Adam was looking a little bummed out, and one of his buddies, who was not a man of faith, said, "Dude, Adam, what's going on?" And he said, "Well, it's Easter." And he said, his buddy told Adam, he said, "Man," he said, how can you be religious and do what we do?" And here they're looking, this is, with 17 lying dead insurgents on the ground there beside the helicopters. And Adam told him, "Well, first of all, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And second of all, I can't believe you do what we do and not be."
It's interesting. I had the same exact thought. My comment would have been, how could you not be?
Yeah, and that's really, I think, how with Chris Kyle and his confidence in what he was doing is right. The guys that Chris would become a target, that would be targeted by the top tier units especially, and Chris was a sniper when he was there. The people that they were targeting were people who were actively sitting there setting up an IED bomb on a roadside that he was actually watching do this. These were people who were on a list because they had killed before. They had killed American and our coalition forces, and I'm not getting into the politics of it and why they might be there, but the fact is that they were there doing a job, fighting for democracy and these local freedoms, and the people that they were targeting had actively either killed or had, with assurances of intel, were planning to do so. But really, the people who get on that list, they use this ambiguous term, they're bad guys. Well, from the research that I've done, it's not a casual thing. To get on those lists, a kill list, it's not a casual thing. It's not like a rumor that somebody might be doing this. They have hard evidence before they get to do that, and that is why I think Chris Kyle said, if he would ever stand before his maker, he would feel confident that all of those kills that he participated in, that he actually actively did himself, they were, in his eyes, righteous and right.
Eric, you seem to have some inside information. Do you think this sequestration is going to have any impact on the SEAL team or any other of our special forces groups throughout the various militaries?
I didn't catch the first. Do I believe the what will have impact?
Sequestration.
That will let's say history play itself out a little bit, I think, and it's a tough thing to say. I think that these guys who are doing their job and they believe in what they're doing, they're gonna find a way to make it right.
It's interesting that the president closed the Capitol for tourists, yet if he didn't go and play golf with Tiger Woods, the amount of money he spent for that one trip would keep the Capitol open for a whole year. Just shows you where the waste is going.
Yeah, that is I hadn't heard those numbers and at all, but that to me is a travesty. There's a lot of golf going on in the White House right now. I've definitely heard that.
Our guest by phone, Eric Blehm, author of Fearless, Story of SEAL Team 6, and Adam Brown.
Well, another one of my comments, it's unfortunate as bad as he handles the presidency, he's even worse at golf.
Well, he couldn't be much worse than me. But I will tell you one thing: I don't put much effort into getting better.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I'll tell you, Eric, and as bad as you play, I mean, I'm probably worse. When I hit the ball, people yell incoming. It's not a pretty sight. It's really
exactly.
Fearless.
It'd be kind of fun. It'd be neat to be able to play best ball though with Tiger Woods, right?
Hey, there you go. There you go. Actually, I had a friend of mine do that not too long ago.
You'd never get a shot.
But you know, I mean, your title of your book, Fearless, sounds like anybody who stands next to me on a golf course. But speaking of your book, I understand. Well, who knows? I mean, is there possibly a movie deal maybe in the works someday?
You know, contractually, I have to be careful with what I say, but I will say that there are a few heavy hitters very interested in that town we all know as Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's a tough nut to crack, and getting the right team together for a story like Adam Brown's. You know, the story, it's the prodigal son meets SEAL Team 6. It's combining this as somebody who was a crack addict who then eventually made it into the top secret clearance tiered team in our government and military. And those are topics that are a little bit tough. He's also a man of faith. One of his final requests, if he was killed in combat, they wanted people to know who he was, not only as this heroic SEAL, but who he was as a person when he was this dirtbag crack addict and ultimately found Christ and came to know the Lord via time in jail. And so all these topics are, polarizing topics. And so you want to get the right group in Hollywood that isn't afraid to touch on those topics, and that's really what we're looking for. We want to honor Adam for eternity, his legacy, and we've already done that with the book Fearless, and we want to make sure that's transferred onto the big screen. So people are interested. We just have to figure out which is the right group to do it.
That's an amazing story, Adam Brown.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and yours is an amazing book. A couple things I'd like to touch with you before. We've got about a little over 3 minutes left, or a little under 3 minutes left. When it comes to that particular SEAL team, a lot of the people that you had met with after August 6th were gone. You want to talk a little bit about August 6th?
Yeah, that was, for those in your listenership who don't remember, that was the day the Chinook went down. It was known as the Extortion 17 flight. 19 SEALs were killed on that when this Chinook went down, was shot down by a rocket-propelled grenade. Single worst loss of life in naval special warfare history and in the history of this war. What I did when I was writing the story of Adam Brown, I was interviewing his buddies and his friends who were tight on that team. And by horrible chance, 5 weeks after I interviewed 7 of these individuals, 7 of the guys I interviewed out of 10 were all killed in an instant on that flight. And I had actually gotten the time to interview them, record their interviews, meet some of their families, have meals with them, everywhere from Alaska to a couple undisclosed locations to Virginia Beach. And then I find out that they're dead and they were killed. And that's when I had to go home and listen to the transcriptions and write the book. And really their voices are heard in the story. The story of Adam Brown is a gift, and the fact that I was able to speak to these guys and they were able to honor Adam Brown showed, first of all, how selfless they are, because they deflected anything about themselves and focused on honoring Adam. But the second thing that makes it so amazing is that they were very clear and that they were doing what they loved, and that a warrior's death would be the most honorable death. And they all met that fate.
And it's ironic in a way, because we're talking about special forces units. We're talking about Adam Brown, 7 members of that SEAL team, and Chris Kyle, and they're all gone. Yeah.
There's an ominous gap in the round table right now of these knights in our military arsenal. And but I can tell you right now, firsthand, after. There is a new crop coming up, and they know what they're up against, and yet they are doing everything they can to fill those seats for the rest of us.
Incredible. Again, the book is Fearless, Story of SEAL Team 6 and Adam Brown. I highly, highly recommend it. Another excellent book. And it'll tell you what really goes on behind the scenes with the SEAL team. Eric, thank you so much for the time.
Marty, you're awesome. And Clay, nice talking with you. And you guys have a great day.
Take care. We'll be back in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.